Hello, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Oriako, and today I'm going to share a very personal life update. I'm pregnant. Yes, I am pregnant. I'm currently 27 weeks pregnant, and it just occurred to me that I never got to document my first trimester. So, this is what this video is about, talking about my first trimester, which is the first 3 months of my pregnancy. Okay. I think the motivation behind this video stems from the fact that um, some of the things I experienced while pregnant, I didn't know about them until I experienced them. So that is why I'm sharing it. Also, so I don't forget. I feel like I'm already forgetting what I went through. Let's say this is a form of documentation to have it out there so I never forget what I went through. Yeah, and hopefully someone learns from my story, or someone gets inspired. Anything. Yeah, really, that's it. First off, um, it's such a blessing. Before I go into my pregnancy story, it's such a blessing to be able to be pregnant, to be able to be a mother. Is such a I feel so blessed, and there is nothing like it. No matter how anybody explains this to you, there's nothing like pregnancy, motherhood. So let me not talk too much. Let me just start. My first trimester. How did I discover I was pregnant? My period was late, and I figured maybe because I was stressed and all that, that's why I didn't get my period at the time I'm supposed to get my period. I didn't think too much about it because something similar happened last year, where I was I my period came late by 7 days, so I didn't overthink it. That was in February. I didn't overthink it. I waited. I waited a week plus, and I still didn't get my period. So I started suspecting, okay, maybe I was pregnant. I did a lot of tests. I did like 1,000 tests. Like I still have some of the tests I did. I did like 1,000 tests, maybe not 1,000. I did just 6 tests, pregnancy test, and of course I still needed to go to the hospital for like a proper confirmation. But I think that was around Valentine's Day, and I had to go out. My husband, advised that I don't take like alcohol just until we are sure. I was like, okay, let's wait and be sure, before we go to the hospital. So I think 2 days after Valentine's Day, we went to the hospital to confirm. They did urine, blood, and ultrasound. Afterwards, we got the result that same day. So while waiting, a lot of things was going through my mind. So anyway, the doctor came out and was like, "Oh, congratulations, you're pregnant." I was like, "Yeah." Yeah, it was quite exciting. And then it was like, unfortunately, during your ultrasound, we discovered that you have multiple fibroids. It's not a death sentence or anything. Obviously, there are women that have carried their pregnancy to term while having fibroid. Like, he tried to assure us that, obviously it's a complication, but it's not something that we should really, worry about. And honestly, I don't think I was so worried about it when he said it at that time. I wasn't so worried about it. I was just excited that, oh, 5 weeks pregnant, yeah. I was excited. I didn't even allow that get to me. So he expedited the referral to a high risk OBGYN because he felt, okay, you have fibroids, you need to start, you know, dealing with the OB now. And, that was it. I was really, really excited. I went back home. I was like, yay. They gave us the ultrasound printouts. There was still excitement in the air. Less than 48 hours later, I woke up in excruciating pain. The pain was so intense, and I thought I was going to die. I'm not being dramatic. It was that excruciating. My husband took me to the ER. They did some tests again, and they said obviously the the fibroids are acting up, because they asked me whether I was aware of the fibroids, before pregnancy. I told them I wasn't aware and everything. So they gave me some pain relief medicine and told me that I'll be fine. I should just take the pain relief medicine with the folic acid. I told them all right. I went back. Less than 24 hours later, I was back at the emergency room, and the doctor that attended to me said that the pain I have is more than what is expected. that maybe I have other complications that they are not aware of. Maybe they should do more tests. So I was booked for an MRI, and luckily there was an open space that day. I was able to get an MRI done because they are suspecting I had maybe an appendicitis. So they did an MRI. It was scary. I did an MRI and they still found only the fibroids. And they said we didn't see anything else apart from the fibroids. And that was the time they now prescribed oxycodone for me, which I was a bit skeptical about because I felt oxycodone is too strong. But they told me that the one they gave me isn't so strong for pregnancy, that I should, that's the only thing that could deal with the pain. We went back home. We got discharged that day. We went back home. And then I started managing the pain because it's obvious that there was nothing more the hospital could do. I started managing the pain. I think that was when the morning sickness started proper. I oh, part of in the diagnosis, the exams, like the tests I did at the hospital, they said I had high HCG, and that is why I have hyperemesis gravidarum. So it's an extreme form of morning sickness. I was vomiting up to 10 times a day. I wasn't eating well. Everywhere was smelling. I could smell the neighbor's house. I could smell the fridge. I could smell the couch. I could smell every single thing. I wasn't sleeping well. I was like, everything made me want to vomit. I couldn't brush my teeth. It was that bad. And I remember then it was such a terrible time. It was such a terrible time because I just couldn't stand anything. My typical day was I wake up, I'll start vomiting. I wake up with vomit. I'll vomit in the morning. By 9, I'll vomit again. By 11, I'll vomit again. And it was so bad because I wasn't eating anything. I wasn't able to eat. It was so bad that for 6 weeks, I was surviving on watermelon. This is not an exaggeration. For 6 whole weeks, I couldn't eat anything without vomiting. It was only watermelon that could go in and not come out. So I was just eating only watermelon. I think that's why today I can't stand watermelon because I think it's so I associate it with a traumatic time in my life. So right now I don't think I can really stand watermelon. Another thing that really happened that time that was so annoying was I was constipated. I couldn't poo. For weeks I couldn't poo. It was that bad. I couldn't poo. And I remember calling the hospital about it, and they recommended buying Colis. I got Colis from CVS. It did nothing. They recommended Miralax. I got Miralax. It didn't work. So I was dehydrated. There was no food in my body, and I was weak. I was always vomiting, and I was in a lot of pain. I had a lot of abdominal pain. So we went back to the hospital because I was constipated. And they said, oh, it's not normal that you've gone 3 weeks without pooing. It's not normal. You have to do something about it. But for now, you are dehydrated. Let's get some fluids in you. So I had like up to 3 bags of fluids, putting me through the IV. After that, the doctor came around and she was like, oh, do you feel pressed? Do you want to poo? I said, no, there is nothing coming out. So the doctor came back with the nurse. They wore gloves, and the doctor put her fingers in my anus. That was such an invasive process, but at that time, I don't think I really cared about privacy or anything like that because I just wanted to poo. They put hand in my anus, trying to see if about nothing. Thinking about this is embarrassing, but it wasn't a pleasant time. Eventually, I think after we got home, started to get enema or something like that. So we tried that at home, and God, like, thankfully, God worked wonders. It worked. So that was like my first poo. It was so exciting being able to poo. I didn't know like I could be that excited to poo. So it's just thinking about it. Like I remember the relief. Like it felt like I've been carrying poo for like weeks. So after pooing, I remember few days later, I was back at the hospital. Like I was going to hospital almost every 48 hours. I was in the hospital. I remember being in, asking I was in so much pain. I couldn't do anything. And they were like, oh, you've been here before. We've given you oxy. We've done this. We've told you there is nothing we can do. I was like, but I'm in pain. Like I can barely stand. I'm dizzy. I'm not eating. Like this is not sustainable. We have to do something about the pain. So the doctor said he will refer me back to the OB, but for now he's going to prescribe fentanyl. I was scared. I was like, fentanyl. Like anytime I hear fentanyl, it's always like with people that have drug addiction or something. Like I didn't know it's something you give on a normal basis. I was like, fentanyl, is that safe for baby? They said yes, it's safe for baby. It's it's not so bad. I shouldn't. That is the only thing that could help me at that point. All right, I was I was giving through the IV and everything. So that got a bit better. Like the abdominal pain after the fentanyl, and I was taking the oxy pills. It kind of I felt a little bit of relief, like when it comes to the abdominal pain. The other major issue that I have, which was constantly vomiting, there was nothing that could be done about that, because I remember when I complained that I was always nauseous and I couldn't keep food down and everything. They prescribed Zofran for me. They said, I'm going to put it in my mouth, in my tongue rather. It's going to help me and everything. I picked up the Zofran. The first time I tried, I vomited everything. The second time I tried, I vomited everything. So I got back to them. I said, well, the medicine you prescribed wasn't working. What are we going to do? Because I'm barely eating. And the one I managed to put in, which is the watermelon, I throw it up again. So they had me coming to the hospital, and they gave me some anti-nausea something, true fluids. I can't remember the name. Afterwards, they gave me some, should I call them pills? So I'll insert it in my bath in the morning, and at night. So after I take my shower, I'll put in the medicine through my butt, insert it, and it really helped. It worked wonders, because then I could, as at that time, my appetite have started, getting better. I was able to eat bread and plain rice. Like I was able to eat majorly carbohydrates. And I remember that time, a lot of people had a lot of advice. I think that's the time that as a pregnant woman, you have to be careful about advice from well-meaning people, because I swear I had like 1,000 advice on what to do. Which a lot of people will be like, "Have you tried ginger?" I'm like, "I can't stand ginger right now." Have you tried crackers? Have you tried this? Which everybody's trying to help the situation, but I did everything. I checked online. People say do this, do this. Like nothing. Will I no try? I tried everything. Nothing worked. It was as if my body was like, you guys should chill. Let me do my thing. You know, brushing was, my husband used to force me to brush. He would force me to brush, force me to bathe, because I was so tired. I couldn't stand. It was like the shower made me vomit. So it wasn't like, it was a very terrible time. Like I lost 15 pounds. I was slim. My clothes couldn't like, it was, now I'm smiling, but then it wasn't like, now I can talk about it and smile, but it was a very traumatic time. It was very, very traumatic for me. And I was like, ha, is this the pregnancy our mothers went through and gave birth to 5 children, 6 children? That this can't be it. It was a lot for me. And I felt having fibroids didn't make it easier. It was terrible. As for my skin, I looked really pale. I think I got darker, maybe because I wasn't, rubbing cream. I couldn't stand cream. I couldn't perceive, the smell of the cream was terrible. I just couldn't stand anything. Roll on, deodorants, nothing. I couldn't put anything. So my skin was pale and dry and flaky. I wasn't eating, I wasn't drinking. I had this water aversion. I couldn't drink water. Like I just couldn't drink water. I just couldn't drink water. It was a traumatic time. It was a traumatic time. And I'm just so grateful that I have family and friends. Like I had a good support system, people that came around. Some people brought groceries. Some people kept trying to see maybe things that I would be able to eat. It's really, really made me more thankful and grateful of my support system. And yeah, it was such a time. Like I couldn't even record this video. Like I remember I've always said, "Oh, I'll document my pregnancy journey. I'll document my pregnancy journey." I don't see clear. Like I don't see clear to even get content or take pictures or do all those things. I was just trying not to die. I was just trying to stay alive and all that. So I'm just grateful that I'm now in my second trimester, and I feel much better. So, but all from my experience in this, my first trimester experience, all I have to do is I just have 3 advice to give to future mothers or future daddies in the house. The first advice is, before you want to try for babies, you want to conceive and everything, first is have like a body check. Go to the hospital, make sure everything is good, everything is fine, the things that are meant to be good are all sorted out. Because sincerely, I didn't know I had fibroids until I was pregnant. I had no signs, nothing, no pain, nothing. I had no signs, and it was when I was pregnant that I discovered that I had fibroids. So if you have any intention of getting pregnant in the future, or your wife you guys want to have kids, it's advisable to go do the medical checkup first before you start trying. Secondly is, when you are pregnant, you'll be anxious. Honestly, you can't help it, but you can do well to reduce the time you spend on social media, on TikTok, especially when you have a high risk pregnancy like mine, where a lot of people have a lot of advice. Everybody has, oh, this worked for me, this what a lot of people want to put fear in you, tell you, oh no, I had this and this happened to me and all that. I would advise you to don't really, just trust that your doctors are doing what, like, they know best, because everybody and their mothers have one or two advice to give, and while it's coming from a good place, your body is different. No pregnancies are the same. Like, this my experience. I'm not sure anybody in my family had similar experience. So no matter the advice anybody gives you, your pregnancy is different. Like, no two pregnancies are the same. So just trust God and trust that your doctors are like their best place to give you the right advice. And then thirdly, I think God beg you, if you have any intention of getting pregnant, please make sure you have strong support system. The importance can of good support system can never be overemphasized. Support system can be your husband, your baby daddy, your family. Because honestly, if it was just me alone, I don't think I'll be standing here. It's such, you don't know how your pregnancy can go. I never knew this is how mine will go. So you never can tell. Some have easy pregnancy, some they are not so easy. So this is a journey that you don't want to go alone. You need somebody by your side. you know so I think that's it. But yeah, pregnancy is like, pregnancy is such a blessing, honestly, to be able to be pregnant. Even with all this my fibroids, I'm pregnant. I'm so happy that I'm pregnant. So yeah, my first trimester was very traumatic. It was a very terrible time, very terrible. But I'm happy that we can talk about it and smile. I can talk about it and smile and move on. And yeah, that is it. That's the first trimester. So I hope you learned something, and then you stick around for the second trimester, because the video is coming up right away. And I promise you, this one is more interesting. The second trimester is more interesting, and it's all about the glow and everything. Okay, so don't forget to comment, share, like, okay, and subscribe. Okay, don't forget that, subscribe. Okay, and stick around for the second trimester. All right, thank you.